Hey, what is going on YouTube? Mike here for Phandroid, and yeah, I've been using the Pixel 7 for quite some time now, and I just want to give you guys my thoughts on the smartphone. And given that it is Google's latest flagship phone for this year alongside the Pixel 7 Pro, we have to ask the question of whether or not it's something you should get, or should you just keep your current Pixel smartphone? Well, let's take a look. Now, as we discussed in our initial impressions video with the Pixel 7, we do have a design that's both new and familiar at the same time. So the Pixel 7 does retain the general overall look of its predecessor, but it does come with some changes, like a refined aluminum frame that goes around the entirety of the phone and melts into the camera window, turning it into more of a camera bar. The back panel now also has Gorilla Glass Victus as opposed to the Gorilla Glass 5 in last year's Pixel 6. And it does come with a slightly smaller display at 6.3 inches versus the 6.4 inches found on the Pixel 6. Now, one particular thing to take note of is that the Pixel 7 is now a bit lighter, and I do think that is a lot more comfortable to use compared to the Pixel 6, which does lean on the heavier side of things. And yeah, overall it's a solid design. It works well for what Google has managed to do with the design aspect of the Pixel hardware line. And yeah, it manages to separate the Pixel phones from more common looking smartphone designs out there. Now with the 6.3-inch display, we also get face unlock and of course a slightly improved fingerprint sensor. Now I say slightly improved because so far in my usage, there are times when it manages to miss my fingerprint readings, which is kind of a downer given that it was such a big issue on last year's phone. It's not all that bad though, and this doesn't really happen often unlike what we got on last year's Pixel 6. And yeah, the fingerprint scanner is an improvement, but yeah, it would have been nice to see an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner on here, but what are you gonna do? Now when it comes to face unlock, it does work nicely, it is fast, it is seamless. And the only times that face unlock kind of failed on me was when I was in slightly darker environments than usual. But in general, it does work nicely, and at times it does feel a lot faster than the fingerprint scanner on the Pixel 7. Unfortunately though, you can't use it to authorize payments, but it's nice to have a second option in case you're having some trouble with the fingerprint scanner. Now in terms of performance, a quick Google search should tell you that the Tensor G2 is not the major groundbreaking successor to the G1 that some people made it out to be. Of course, we're still gonna get some improvements in terms of performance. I mean, I can play some graphically heavy games on here, and it does provide really smooth day-to-day usage. But it does lack a bit, especially when compared to competition like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 or even the Apple A16 Bionic. And if you're gonna look at the Tensor G2 strictly in terms of benchmark tests, that is not gonna be appealing to a lot of enthusiasts out there. But on the other hand, what it does improve with is the AI capabilities of the Pixel 7. And yeah, so far it has been a pretty impressive phone. I do agree with several sentiments out there which say that it's a much smarter phone than the rest of the competition. Like Google Assistant has been really great in terms of performance on this phone. Voice recognition, speech to text, now playing, features like that are made possible by the Tensor G2, which carries over what the first generation Tensor was able to accomplish. And yeah, it's refreshing to see an SoC focus more on the smart feature aspect of a smartphone rather than pure raw power. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I was able to play some graphically demanding games on here. Although one issue I do have is that the phone still tends to get warm like its predecessor. And yeah, you're gonna feel it especially with games like Genshin Impact or XCOM 2. Fortunately though, it doesn't get really hot like the Pixel 6, and that should be something to take into consideration, especially if you game a lot on your smartphone. Now, one major aspect where the Pixel 7 really manages to excel is with the camera performance. Every time I pick up a Pixel phone, whether it be the 3A, the 4A, the 4A 5G, the Pixel 6, or the Pixel 6A, I expect good quality photos. And thankfully, it's of course the same case with the Pixel 7. It manages to bring over the amazing camera performance and the computational photography that we saw on the Pixel 6 and its predecessors, and it does get some improvements in terms of of features. Overall, it's generally great performance, especially as a point-and-shoot device. You can't go wrong with this phone. And we've seen some improvements in terms of video performance. It's a lot better than what you're gonna get on the older Pixels, and of course, its budget sibling like the Pixel 6a. And overall, it's a great phone for casual mobile photography. With that said, it's not a perfect smartphone, and of course, there are some weaknesses to the camera. I noticed that we still get the green tints at the edge of photos, which you can see when taking ultra-wide shots, especially if your shot does have darker colors around the edges. You can kind of see some green hues on there, which is something that we got with the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 4a 5G, and it's something that I really hope would be addressed with this latest generation of Pixels. And I guess another weakness would be the video quality, especially in low light situations. So when filming in low light, you of course get a ton of grain on your clips. Now I'm not saying that this is exclusive to the Pixel. Of course, we're gonna see some grainy footage whenever you take low light shots. But yeah, it's one thing to take note of, especially if you like to film in nighttime or low light situations. And speaking of filming, we also get the cinematic video mode. It's something that I've been looking forward to when Google first announced it for the Pixel 7. And while I do think that the Pixel 7 manages to pull it off nicely, it's not perfect of course. And of course, the camera software will have some limitations, but it's a feature that's great to see on the Pixel. I hope that we do get software improvements for the cinematic mode in future updates, which is something to look forward to. Now, as for battery life, so far it's been consistent for me. I usually charge around 11 p.m. and go through the next day using it for work, media consumption, entertainment, and such. And it manages to get me through the next day until I have to charge again at around 10 or 11 p.m. With that said, I do work from home. It's gonna be different for everyone. You are gonna drain a bit more battery if you use it outside with a higher screen brightness, constant data and GPS usage. But yeah, like I said, at least for my usage scenario, it's been really consistent. And despite the smaller battery size compared to the one we got on the Pixel 6, I do think that the Pixel 7's battery is a solid performer. Now, of course, we do get 30-watt fast charging, and I did notice that it charges a bit faster than the Pixel 6 because that phone really took a while to charge. I would sometimes spend 2 hours charging the phone. But with the Pixel 7, there's been some improvements. Granted, it's not the same charging speeds as on phones like Xiaomi or OnePlus or Poco, but it's nice to see the phone be able to charge a bit quicker this time around. Now, one thing to note is that the phone won't get the same amount of software support as in its rivals, so it's only going to get 3 Android version updates. Although we do get 5 years of security updates, which is nice, but if you're looking for something really long term, or if you keep your phone for a really long time, then you might want to take that into consideration. Alright, so at a price of $599, the same price as on last year's Pixel 6, I do think that the Pixel 7 is a terrific device, especially that low price point, which makes it considerably more affordable than competing flagships like the Samsung Galaxy S22, the iPhone 14, and even the OnePlus 10 Pro. You really can't go wrong with this phone, and of course, if you are a Pixel fan, then this is the perfect upgrade for you if you want a slightly more affordable Pixel flagship that comes with the features that you like and trust the most from Google. So yeah, let us know what you guys think about the Pixel 7. Do you have it, or are you planning to upgrade to it? And if you enjoyed this video, do consider liking and subscribing. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.